So welcome to Doing Stuff Outdoors. And what am I doing today? Well, I'm going to start a project today. This one will be ongoing. I'm sure it'll probably break down into 3 videos probably over the course of time. And what I got going on is, this is something I've been wanting to do. I've had, well, let me give you a little bit of backstory here. About 6 years ago, I found a hobby of buying old Stihl chainsaws, restoring them, or even just repairing them and then selling them. Some of them I kept. I probably kept way too many of these things, but at the time I just get the parts that I could. It's hard to find some of the parts for the older Stihl saws, and I would put them back together and make them run. However, I found an 066 that had the poly flywheel and stuff on it, but it didn't have the right plastic, the right tank, and things like that. So let me show you what I really got going on and show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make one that's probably a lot more correct, so to speak. So stick around and I'll show you what I got going on. So I've got this saw right here. Actually, it's not in too bad a shape. It's all original paint. It's not beat up really bad. And like I said, this is a later model of 066, kind of right before they went to the MS 660. But it's got the wrong tank on it. It's got the right crankcase, serial number, and all of that, but it's just got the wrong tank. And what I got over here, it's got the right tank, right plastic, and everything. So the plan is, we'll take the tank off of this one and all that stuff. This is one that I restored back about 6 years ago. It was one of the first ones that I did. And you'll see it in more detail here in a little bit. But I'm going to transfer all the stuff over to that one. Or I'm going to transfer all the stuff on this saw over to this one and make it, like I said, more correct. So that's the plan. So the first thing I got to do is get the tank and stuff off of this particular saw right here, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So, okay, I'm just going to start getting this thing apart. Hopefully y'all can see pretty good. I'm going to take this coil back off so I can get, this makes it easier. I did a lot of the mechanical work to this, but I started to put it back together with this tank, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? Sure does not want to cooperate. Story of my life. Now, this is not a how-to video, I can tell you that. This is a good lesson on what not to do. I don't know why I have so much problems Ever since I started my YouTube channel, every time I try to do something on camera that I'm used to do, it just ends up being a total fiasco. Oh well. I'll work on something else. At least I can get to this. This is one of the best, this is one of the better looking crankcases that was still original that I ran across. It's got some wear and tear on it, but it's not totally tore up. And it's just got the typical riding in the truck spots on it. Does make it easier to take the tank out. You go ahead and pry out the anti-vibe bushings or dampeners. Guy out here. Maybe. There we go. Out. You see, it's amazing how tight that tank is still in there. Got that one out, that one out, that one out. I've got to get one of these out. Make it go a lot easier. What's amazing is you can still get a lot of parts for the late model, or the later model of 66s with the polyfly wheels from your Stihl dealer, because the MS660, I mean, they didn't change a lot of the main parts in them. Okay, so I'm missing something. I got that one out. I got that one out. Stihl's famous intake boot. This ain't like the new saws where you got to get two of these through the shroud. And the impulse hose came off. And there's that. Forget that little grommet goes right there. All right, so that tank's off. This is actually off of an old red light, 066 back in the, it would have been the, what, early 90s, mid 90s? And it would, that's how you would tune it. You would tune it until, if the light came on, you were getting too lean and you back it off, I believe. I've never actually seen one that works. So, but yeah. So we got the old tank off here. Everything else can pretty much stay as far as I'm concerned. Said I'm not trying to do this for show quality saw. But look at the piston on this side. Like I said, I re-ringed it. Looks pretty good. I'm going with it. I'm trying to keep this down to lower cost. Know what I mean? On a budget. All right. So I'll set this one aside. I think once I restored this one, I ran this saw one time. One time. That was it. So, put a Stihl dual port muffler on it. Did it as correctly as I possibly could. These saws back in the day, looking at the serial number, it would have been the old flat top 066s. Now, the only problem I'm probably going to have is the starter cover. Might have to find a correct starter cover for it. Because the flywheels are different. And that poly flywheel, when I get this apart, if I remember right, that poly flywheel sticks out further, so this part here is a lot wider. So anyway, let's start taking stuff off here. Like I said, when I did this, I sandblasted everything down, or media blasted, I didn't use sand, and repainted it all fresh. I even put a skid plate on to protect the tank, which I'll probably put it back on. Company that sells those. Maybe we're gonna put these new dogs on it. Take the handlebar off. Cover off, or clutch cover. Dun-dun. All right, I'm gonna have to go drain the gas out of it, so be right back. So yeah, the earlier versions of the 066s had a flat top cover on them. Didn't have the modern day baffling and stuff like that. So they called them flat tops. And then obviously later generations with the poly flywheels, I'm not 100% sure, but that's when it came out with a wider tank, rounded plastic on the top, different trigger, all that stuff. And I said, it is getting kind of hard to find some of the parts for the olders. I mean, you can always convert it over to the newer style of 66s, but yeah. I think I got a new Tillotson carburetor that I'm going to put on that when I get it done. Let's see. And it's starting to rain again. It gets really loud out here because I don't have insulation in this building. Probably gonna have to pause this. Okay, let's try this trick I remember. Stick that in there to hold the throttle open, and then that allows the linkage to get loose. Voila. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn you all off. I'll bring you back later. Okay, looks like we got a little break in the rain, so we'll continue on with this. And when we got interrupted by the rain, we left off on getting the carburetor linkage undone, the throttle linkage undone from the carburetor, and I got that done. So now we should be able to, and I got to pry the fuel line off. That's no big deal. And let's go ahead and pull this carburetor on. Like so. Let's see. Yeah, I don't want to get this carburetor mixed up and put on the other one, but I'll just set it right there for right now. Just top shroud off. Like so. Get the side cover off. So it all depends too on how wide this flywheel is, if the recoil cover will work. I prefer the recoil cover style that I just took off, but this flywheel is pretty wide. A lot of people will sell you, hey, the 064 and the 066 is the same flywheel when it's aluminum, but that's not necessarily true. The 064 had the flywheel is about that much narrower, so the 064 cover won't work on an 066 unless it has the narrow flywheel. So there's a lot of variations of this and so on, but yeah, keep going here. pull this off to get, just taking this cover off, or this inner bar plate off. Then on these wrap-handled saws, they had a different, well, you had dual dogs on it, and it had the chain catcher down here, and it also had this extra guide on it here that I will transfer over to the other saw here in a little bit. So. Okay. I don't want to take off too many pieces at once. So I'd like to going to go ahead and take a look at that on video. So I got to remove this wire and this wire. And this grommet. I'm going to leave all the wires and stuff with this coil. And you can even still buy these wires made up already, cut the length. They should just slide right out of there. There we go. I've rebuilt more 066s than any other model of saw, so that's kind of, I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying I'm an expert on them, but I've done more of them than any other Stihl saw. When I started restoring some of these saws, I was thinking, you know, there's some history behind these 066s, 064s. I've got 064 that I started, but I haven't got it anywhere near close to being done. Just gotta get that out of there. Like I said, this is pretty tedious work here. Oh well, I'm trying to keep it to where you all can. I'm trying to get better on my videos where I'm doing stuff like this where y'all can see what's going on. You can kind of see. Okay. Yeah, there you go. All right, so all that should pull through that grommet when I take the tank off. So now, I think all I really got to do is take the screws out of the tank handle. Take that out. An easier way to take these out or not. I always found out just forcing them. Doesn't sound very good. All right, same thing as before. Got to take this off. Like so. Take the little one out too. Put that in through there. Impulse hose off. That off. Wires through the grommets. Voila! Wide fuel tank is off. Well, that's going to about do it for today. I hope you enjoyed the disassembly of the Stihl 066s. If you like this type of content, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and have a super fantastic day.